Hi Virgo, welcome to your May 2022 Taroscope with me, Raphael from Reydiant Reality. It's an absolute pleasure to have you here. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for joining me. Quick note, my readings are for your sun, moon and ascendant signs. So whether you're a sun, moon or rising sign Virgo, this is for you. And I always advise that you watch all three to get a clearer, more complete picture of how they're going to speak to you. With that said, remember they are general readings. Not everything's going to resonate with everybody, and that is just fine. You should always use your own discernment. Before we start, as always, I would like to bless my decks of cards with all forms of love, light, peace, prosperity and abundance. And I pray that the messages that come through are ultimately clear and concise, and they help you on your path to your highest vibrational good. So for your actions and interactions with the world at large over the course of May, you have the Temperance card. All right, so this is you putting a lot of time, effort and energy, but more importantly a lot of faith in yourself. I actually really like to see this because it means that you're starting to take on, it's like Virgo tends to take on a lot of what other people say and then pick it apart, right? It's one of the things that your sign is really good at. But what I'm starting to understand about your sign as well, it's like until you've absolutely seen that you are like the best at something that you can possibly be, you'll be really tough on yourself until that moment. And the Temperance card tends to balance things out, right? This is the process of spiritual alchemy, let's say. What this really says to me is this is a moment at which I think May is going to give you more faith in yourself than you've had maybe in a long time, whether this is in your gifts, whether it's in your capacity to deal with, you know, the external crap that, you know, eventually catches up to all of us. The other thing with this Temperance card as well, it's giving you a powerful sense of alignment. This is you really starting to understand not only what you're here to do, but more importantly, what you want to do. I kind of feel like this is you giving yourself new lease on life to really start enjoying things at your own bequest. Which, you know, I think is great. For your communications and conversations, you have the Lovers card. So this card represents the Gemini energy, and obviously at the end of the month we're going to have that full moon, new moon rather, in Gemini. Now you've got this in your communications and conversations. This is going to be a month where there are many decisions for you to make across the board, and you know, with this newfound sense or renewed faith in yourself, making decisions moving forward based on what is actually good for you and not just everybody else is something that's going to start to come a lot easier to you from here on in. Now the Lovers card represents Gemini, the Temperance card represents Sagittarius. So between you know, your actions and interactions and your communications with others, it's like you're striking this perfect balance of what you want versus what you need, where you can and can't meet other people's requests and desires from you, and what the sweet spot is in between those things, right? It's kind of, I don't know why, I kind of get this feeling that you're coming to a new intersection of your life. You know, this is where you get to choose, where am I going from here? Now, when it comes to partnerships, love, relationships, it could speak to all of those things as well. So for some of you, this could be, maybe you are having a conversation with somebody that you thought was like a friend and maybe like a friendship sort of soulmate. And then you start to look at them and think, actually, you know what? This is for those of you that are single, obviously. You know, you're looking at them and you're kind of thinking, wow, you know what? Maybe there is potential for us to be something other than this to each other. For those of you that are partnered, married or in long-term commitments, this is you and your partner. I think in a lot of ways, this is you and the partner really starting to give each other time, space and praise for all of the wonderful things that you've managed to do and create up until this time. It's kind of like a love-in, right? Yeah, you know, we can get behind that, right? For sure. For your love and relations, you've got the Seven of Swords. So this is not an easy card, and you do have it next to the Lovers, which I find interesting because for me personally, I don't see or feel deceit in the relationship this week. However, it does this month. However, it does feel like some of you may have turned a corner off of what was maybe a rocky patch for your relationship. So things could be a lot better on the love front this week, this month, sorry, than they have been in a while. What I will also say as well, for those of you that are single, this might be a time where you start to understand that the way that somebody has presented themselves up until now is not as authentic an expression of who they are as you would like it to be. For those of you that are partnered, married, or in long-term commitments, I would say that this may very well be an envious eye on the inside circle towards your partnership. All right, so this is one of the things, like this month, I would probably, it's not like everybody's a suspect and they're trying to destroy your relationship. It's not that at all. It's more a case of there may be, like, you know, an envious eye. Maybe this person is struggling in their partnership, and so they're looking at yours like, well, what do they have that we don't? You know, what are they doing that I'm not? So watch out for that. This could also be a situation that arises within the family where there's some sort of slander going on. So you might see this and it might happen to somebody that you love, somebody that you care about, and it's like you can see or hear you know, someone talking a whole bunch of shit about them, and it's like, what can I do about this to offer some kind of support? For your money and materials, you have the Magician card, which actually represents your ruler Mercury, who is in Taurus at this point. Well, he is certainly at the point of me doing this reading, he is. And then there's going to move, or should I say they are, because Mercury is hermaphroditic, ambidextrous, you know, is dual everything. So when it comes to your money, your finances, and your resources, this is great, because whenever we have the Magician in the money sector, it's like you can literally create money out of thin air, which is not far from what you guys are able to do. When you think about it, for me, the Queen of Pentacles is Virgo. And when I see this kind of energy it reminds me of that, because the Queen of Pentacles is about getting the most out of what you have, squeezing all of the goods out of, you know, I always say, like with the Queen of Pentacles, you could give her a tenner and she'd turn it into 100 grand, right? And so this is kind of like that energy. You've got this next to the Seven of Swords. When it comes to mixing money and family members, this is an absolute no for me this month. If you do get a request for money, I would say ask for what it is actually for, and even then I would do some digging, because it's like whatever you're being told or sold the money is for, it's not going to go to that sort of space. So watch out for that, because remember as well, Mercury can be the trickster energy, so can the Magician. You couple this with that Seven of Swords then in the family sector, and you've got a recipe for loaning money to somebody for something, you know, that actually it's not for that at all. And when you find out what they have done with it, you may not be so happy about it. For your first week of the month, you have the Emperor and the Temperance card. So for some of you, this may literally be a journey to, it could be a church, a spiritual center, a sacred site for some of you. This would actually be a really good week to take off, especially because obviously on the 30th of, is it April? Yes, the 30th of April, we've got that eclipse. So if you could take from there like a week off, that would be a perfect time. And if you can visit somewhere that has maybe a spiritual sort of energy or sense to it, it would actually be really beneficial for you. For your second week of the month, you have the Judgment card. So this is big change energy. And with the Lovers card, I'm going to say this to you, and not to scare you or anything like that, but whatever decisions you're making in this second week of the month, they are going to stick, and they are likely to change things for you in very big sort of ways. Now, you've got the Judgment card next to the Emperor. I would say this is something that's happening in your location. So like in your local environment, this could be with your local community, very possible. For some of you as well, this may be a time where family challenges and or matters may get a little bit more dramatic than usual. You got the third week of the month, the Wheel of Fortune. So whatever's happening with this Seven of Swords, it is kind of alleviated. It may be that you are in the wrong place at the right time. So what I mean by that is maybe you, like, let's say you turn up somewhere and like there's a riot going on, and you don't even realize that, right? But you get to a certain point of that place and for some reason you can't get in. And then you come to find out, well, you know, we'll have to take a detour. You take the detour, and then, you know, a few hours later, somebody says to you, oh, by the way, there was a riot happening yesterday there. And you're like, okay, that's why I was, do you know what I mean? Like, this is kind of that. That Wheel of Fortune as well, this third week of the month, it looks like some challenge or issue that could come up through the family. It may initially be like, oh my gosh, I can't believe this is happening, but then it could be something that actually works in your favor. And then for your fourth week of the month, you've got the Universe card. So this is a fresh start for your money, your resources, your finances. Bodes very, very well for you. You've got the Universe card or the World card next to the Wheel of Fortune. If you're doing any travel, it's likely to be in this second half of the month. And if you can, I would wait until the fourth week of the month where you're much more in the clear, and the finances and the money seem to align with this as well. So for, excuse me, May the 16th, we have a lunar eclipse, full moon lunar eclipse in the sign of Scorpio. This one is going to be quite intense, guys. And for you personally, this is happening in your third house, so this is literally in your local environment, right? And at the time of talking about this and whatever was happening in your locality, I hadn't actually worked that out yet. So as you saw, I just had to think about which house it was. So I would say, like, watch out for that eclipse, because it may bring some challenges to the place that you live in. For those of you that have siblings, I would watch out for them, you know, and I don't mean like, oh, you know, you're going to have to watch them because they're dodgy or anything like that. But it is that you're having to keep an eye on them. This may be because something is happening to them or around them, and it's like you want to support, but you don't really know how. The reason I say this is this eclipse on the 16th it's quite a challenging one. I'm not happy about it, I have to say. So you've got the gate 53 and opening. So this could be a time where there is potential for your, what's the word that I'm looking for? There is potential in some of the crises that show up here in your local area. So watch out for this. I've already said to everybody, like, I don't like this year pre-August for any big purchases like a home or land. Just now that I've actually had a look at it in a bit more detail, I would wait until after then, and even then, you know, just, yeah. Anyway, that's the eclipse. For your new moon on the 30th, which is in the sign of Gemini, this for you is happening in your 10th house, which is in your career, right? So you've got the gate 2 and direct. I actually think this new moon, so it's a fresh start in the career sector, how you present to the world, how people see you, your social status. In some way, this could really be a moment at which you start to present yourself as, and not to say that you haven't already, but in a more authentic way to you. Maybe this is about sharing stuff that you don't really usually talk about, or maybe it's about you, you know, sort of sharing more about what your own true north is. It's, in a way, I kind of feel like this is you giving people a bit more of a glimpse behind the scenes. With that said, I wish you an abundance of all of that good stuff. Have a fantastic month. Let me know in the comments how it shapes up. Take care, and I'll see you soon.